Hey folks, so I want to give a little bit of a description about a divorce action, how that's broken up, what you can expect, and basically what are the major components of that. So the example that I'm going to use is you would be filing for divorce, you would own a home, other property like 401ks, and you would have children. Well, we'll say 2 children for this exercise. So that particular case is really broken down into 3 major components of the lawsuit. The first would be the dissolution of marriage, right? That is the divorce that you're thinking about. Texas is a no-fault state, so you don't need a fault ground to file for divorce, but certainly there are cases that do involve certain fault grounds. Well, why is that important? Because a fault ground, if pled and proven, can affect how property is divided. It can affect other things in terms of reconstitution of property. For example, if one spouse is having an affair and that spouse has spent a lot of money or waste on the person they're seeing, that could come into play, and that's a fault ground. Other fault grounds might be cruelty. If that's proven, there could be a disproportionate share of the property. So the dissolution of marriage is one stage. The next is the dissolution or the distribution of property. Property is community property, or that property of anything that was acquired during the marriage, and there certainly can be a confirmation of separate property which would have been owned prior to marriage, gifted to you, or you received through inheritance or devise. So we're going to stay on the property, community property track right now. The term that we use to divide property is a just and right division. That's what the family code says. It doesn't use fair and equitable. It doesn't use other terms, right? It doesn't have to be fair and it doesn't have to be equitable. All it has to be is just and right. So let me give you an example. If you have one spouse that's a high wage earner, say they make $250,000 a year. The other spouse stayed at home, really doesn't have any earning capacity. The just and right language would allow for there to be a disproportionate share of the community property because the non-wage earning spouse would have a more difficult time after the divorce, whereas the high wage earning spouse would be able to make that up in short order. Again, it can also be affected by fault in the marriage. It can be affected by other things such as how much of the property is in a business, how much of the property would be awarded separately. Those are a lot of things that you can go over, but the thing you want to ask any lawyer that you're interviewing is what is the just and right division of the property? So you have the divorce or the dissolution of marriage and the division of property. The last thing is with the 2 children will be the suit affecting parent-child relationship. That is actually broken down into 3 components, which one would be conservatorship, which most people call custody, visitation or possession and access, and support, which is both child support and medical support. Conservatorship or custody in Texas has a presumption of joint managing conservators. That means just that. Both parents are joint managing conservators. But the way we need to think about it is custody is really just a bundle of rights and duties. So if, for instance, one parent is awarded the exclusive right to designate the primary residence of the child, that is the parent who will receive child support. Now, what usually happens is people pull the word primary out of that phrase and they say, I'm the primary parent. That's false. There is no primary parent, but that's oftentimes how it gets used. The other rights that are key in this, the right to make invasive medical, the right to psychological, and the right to make educational decisions. Those rights can either be exclusive to one parent, they can be independent so that both parents have those rights, or they can be joint, meaning that there has to be an agreement. But remember, custody is all about rights and duties. The next part that we look at would be possession and access or visitation. The presumption is that the person who does not have the exclusive right to designate the primary residence would get a standard possession order or a standard possession order with elections or an expanded standard possession order. So that's typically what most people are familiar with: the first, third, and fifth weekends, the Thursdays overnight, and then the holidays. It doesn't have to be that way. You can have a 50-50 arrangement. You can have something different in possession and access. If you go to mediation and agree to it, you could do a world of things that better fits your particular schedule. But that is the visitation. The last part of the kids' issues would be support, child support and medical support. Child support is the easiest part of any family law case. It's just a formula, it's just math. Whoever does not have the exclusive right to designate the primary residence is going to usually pay child support. That child support is based on an adjusted gross income by the Texas Family Code. And if you have 2 children, as we do in this example, it would be 25% of that adjusted gross. So that's a pretty easy part to figure out. So I just want really quickly in this video to say that when you're talking about a divorce, understand that there are really 3 components to that lawsuit. Each component has its own set of codified issues, its own set of things that need to be proven, its own set of presumptions. So if you have any questions about that, give us a call. We'll be happy to explain it to you and sit down with you. Best of luck.